everyone, and welcome to From the Heart Friday with me, Jessica Brigden of JessBCreativeCardiology. Hello, hello. I am so glad you're here. Happy Friday to you. Today we are doing our workshop of the month, our fun fold projects. And these are projects I actually gift to my customers who place an order of $50 or more with me. So if you like what you see and you'd like the packets for our December orders, all right, that we'll do in January, then make sure you get your order in. All right, but we are using my favorite from the mini catalog, the September to December mini. We are working again with the Regal Winter Collection. I love the bold, the Regal colors in this collection. We've got some cherry cobbler, blackberry bliss, some pretty peacock, just beautiful, beautiful colors. And I love this collection. So I can't wait to share these projects with you. We are doing a diamond flap flip fold card. And then I'm going to share my monochromatic layer card that was actually part of my November monochromatic tutorial bundle with the Create With Us International Tutorial Bundle team. So if you've been wondering what my tutorials are like, then this will give you a sneak peek under the projects I shared with that too. So I'm gonna flip the camera and we'll go ahead and get stamping. All right, so here we go. Okay. All right, so like I said, these projects are a gift for those who place orders with me, all right, and you receive a kit to follow along. So my December host code for December orders here is 2YDUXGGY. And like I said, we are working with the Regal Winter Collection. This is actually a retiring collection from the September to December mini catalog, and you can find the products here on page 35. We're working with the Regal Flora stamp set and dies and the Regal Winter Designer Series paper. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so if you placed an order of $50 or more, then you will have received one of these Fun Fold Workshop of the Month packets from me. It's got all of the pre-cut materials in here to make the two cards that we're doing today. If your order was $75 or more, then you also have a package of the Regal foiled adhesive backed dots in there to enhance your projects. All right, so if you are just following along as well, I will of course give you the project measurements and things so that you can recreate these projects on your own too. Okay, so we are going to start with the diamond flap flip fold card. That's a mouthful here. All right, so for this one, we will need some cherry cobbler and some pretty peacock inks. And I am working with various patterns from the Regal Winter Designer Series paper. This, of course, being one of my favorites with the mix of colors here. All right, you can tell we've got a cherry cobbler theme going on with this card. All right, really pretty. So for this one, we'll empty the contents here of our envelope. Okay, so this card starts out with a half sheet of cherry cobbler cardstock, and it is 4 1/4 by 11. Okay, so half sheet, I cut it on the 8 1/2 side, so it's 4 1/4 by 11 inches here. Okay, and we are going to score it a couple of times. All right, so we'll put this in our Stampin' trimmer here. All right, so on the long side, here on the 11-inch side, our first trim, okay, is going to be here at 2 1/8. Oh, sorry, not a trim, a score, okay? So we're just using our score tool. So 2 1/8, okay? And then the next one here is right smack in the middle. That is at 5 1/2, okay? Those are the only scoring that we need to do. So 2 1/8 and 5 1/2 on the 11-inch side. All right, now this is actually gonna go together pretty easily. We have our basic white cardstock. This is of course where we I can write our messages 4 by 5 1/4. So we'll go ahead and tack this down. This is going to be inside our card so that you can see right where this goes. All right, if you are tuning in, let me know where you are tuning in from. All right, so we've got, let me just burnish those folds. Okay, we're good. So this is going to go here on the large panel. All right, let me kill that overhead light too so we don't have, boy, it's so dark without it. All right, we'll just have to make do with the little globes showing. There we go, we'll just move the paper around so it's, so we don't see those little spotlights from my overhead lights. Huh. Okay, so this marks the inside of the card, the inside panel. All right, and then we have 3 patterns of beautiful designer series paper to decorate the front and the inside panels. All right, so we're going to take, this is the Regal Distressed specialty patterns that coordinate with it. This has the cherry cobbler and the gold checked. I'm going to put this right in here so that it makes a nice decoration. When we have both the inside and the outside of the card are beautiful. This piece I have cut to 3 by 4. Okay, 3 by 4 here for this inside, the middle, I guess I should say. This is the middle panel. Okay. All right, and then actually the smallest piece, which was a little bit of a leftover. It doesn't necessarily have to be 2 inches. You could even go as small as 1.5 inches, but 2 inches by 4. And we do want to use the cherry cobbler side. All right, it's actually, this is both sides of this particular sheet of the Regal Winter paper, and I love them both. And with this card, you're going to see all 3 patterns. So that's why I like having the mix of pattern strokes. So I'm going to do cherry cobbler side up on this 2 by 4 piece, and this is going to go on the inside panel, but to the far right. Okay, right over here along the edge. It does kind of reduce the spot where we have to write our message, but you know, if you really have a lot to say, you can use the back side, put another panel of basic white there as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and fold our card in half, closing it for now. And we are going to put the final piece of the Regal Winter on the front. This is going to go on that left panel. And I actually need to trim. So if you received your packet, your piece might be just a little bit too big. Okay. This is supposed to be, it should be 3 1/8, and I believe I cut it at 3 1/4. So if yours is just a little bit too big, trim it down just a little bit. It should be 3 1/8. All right, so I just trimmed a little sliver off of it. That'll make it fit a little bit easier here on the front. All right, you could even go down to 3 by 4, just like we did on the inside if you're maximizing that, because once we create our diamond flap, you're really not going to see this inside little bit. All right, but for the actual measurement, it is 3 1/8 by 4. Okay, and like I said, I'm using the multi-color floral here on the front. All right, and that way, when we create our flap, like I said, you're going to be able to see all 3 patterns. All right, so now we're going to create our flap and get it ready for the diamond fold. All right, so make sure you have your bone folder handy. What we are going to do on this little flap here, okay, that we haven't done much with yet, we are going to take both the top right and the bottom right corners, and we are going to fold right along that score. Bring that corner point right into the score line. All right, so it creates a little triangle here. All right, and then burnish that with your bone folder. Do your best to get it right there at the fold, at the score line without, you don't want to tear it, okay? And we're going to do the same thing at this one. Okay, bring that outside point right in to the fold, okay? All right, so if we did that right, yes, our points match, and that creates that little rectangle panel is now a triangle, all right? Hence our triangle flap fun fold. Okay, so now that you've got these in position, go ahead and use a little bit of adhesive, and we're going to tack these down. All right. Just a tip too, we're bringing them to the score line, but you don't want to go past the score line. You'll notice that once you've got them burnished and you fold this back, you do want that to be able to fold back. And if you extended your points a little bit beyond, it's going to be harder to fold, okay? And it should line right up here with our paper. All right, so everything looks good. All right, you can see we've got the fun fold taking position, and now we are going to decorate this diamond flap. Okay, so next thing we need is a contrasting piece of cardstock, something to layer with. And so I'm using Pretty Peacock, and this is a 2 7/8. Okay, 2 7/8. Once you fold this down, this ends up being, all right, we get our handy little Dollar Tree ruler out here. All right, the length of this ends up being 3 inches. And so we want our layer, this is just a square that I die cut. We want this to be a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going at 2 7/8. I don't want a full quarter banner. I'm going with 2 7/8. All right, and that way you can see the points line up. If we'd gone bigger, it's going to extend. You're going to have a gap. All right, we want this to be nice and tidy. So 2 7/8 for your Pretty Peacock square. I don't usually recommend putting your adhesive directly on the flap, but in this case we are. So just don't come right to the edges, okay? Go a little bit inside. You can go right on that fold line. All right, just draw yourself a little triangle with your adhesive here. All right, do not go right up to the end, because that way we can adhere this in place. All right, we didn't put adhesive on the Pretty Peacock square itself because we don't want to accidentally get adhesive on here and glue our card shut, okay? That kind of defeats the purpose if it doesn't open. So just put adhesive on that red triangle itself. Okay, now layer of basic white that we are going to use for our stamping. And again, I'm doing 1/8 of an inch smaller. All right, so the Pretty Peacock layer was 2 7/8. That means our basic white here, a little bit easier to measure. This is 2 3/4. Okay, 2 3/4. And before we glue that down, let's do a little bit of stamping. Of course, we are going to use our Regal Flora stamp set. All right, so let's use a few of the elements here. Let's do our sentiment first. So let's do Sending Love Your Way. It'll actually fit right across the widest width of our panel here. I'm going to use the itty bitty little flower. And I'll even show you this little piece here. Just little dots, a little visual interest. Okay, so let's stamp our sentiment first, and we are going to use some cherry cobbler for this. Okay, nice and inked. All right, line this up. If you have a grid or the glass mat like this, you can make sure your points are even. Okay, this is going to go right in the center. Beautiful. Okay, and then we will add a little bit of ink here before I stamp my flower. I am going to do that in real red, but I want a little bit of extra something something. So I'm gonna pull in some of the Pretty Peacock ink here. And we're just gonna do a light tap with these fun little dots right down here. Boom, just little bitty dots. They do kind of have a all over, they are not specifically polka dots. They are all a little, as if somebody were to just kind of dab little pencil dots there. Okay. All right, so I did that lightly, and then we are going to use that Pretty Peacock with our little flower. And we're gonna stamp that here in the middle of our dots, right at the point of our basic white. I have left the top portion empty on purpose because that's where we're going to add a few of these little punch art elements, okay? So now that we've got our stamping done, everything looks good, we can apply our adhesive to our basic white panel. And this can go right in the center. All right, beautiful, everything matches up, all looks good. Okay, now for these punch art pieces, I used two of my favorite punches. I used the leaf punch. All right, this has got two of the little leaves. So I used some Pretty Peacock for the large leaf. And then for this little kind of the blossom portion, I used some gold foil. All right, just something a little, it kind of goes with the Regal, a little, it's fun to have pop of gold in there, some metallic. Okay, now for the flowers, I used the flower builder punch here. It does have 3 different sizes of flowers as well as a petal. I am using the largest blossom as well as the smallest. Okay, so if you have this punch, you'll have an extra piece left over, but I'm using the largest and the smallest to build our flower here. All right, out of some cherry cobbler cardstock. So to attach some of these, we're going to use our mini glue dots, and I'm going to place a mini glue dot at the base of my leaf first. And I want this at the top, but you need to place it so that it stays on your card, okay? So you don't want it hanging down over your sentiment, all right? But you don't want it poking off above the edges of your card either. So just kind of off to the side here. Then use another glue dot at the base of the foil sprig, okay? And then just offset that a little bit, all right? So you can see how they layer together, okay? And then for the little flower, we're gonna layer the little flower on top of the large flower. And I like to take the tip of my bone folder and just go right into the center of that smaller flower. Just scrunch it up a little bit, curl the petals just a tad, okay? And then you can use a glue dot on that and place this here in the center of your large flower, okay? And you can even use the edges of your bone folder. All right, just curl those petals up just a bit too, okay? And then for this single dimensional here in the back of our flower, and then that's gonna go over top here, hide the the ends of our leaves, okay, right here at the top. And then to finish it off, just a little embellishment. All right, I am going to use the Regal foil dots, and we've got some cherry cobbler dots down here at the end. So let me use one of those and place that in the center of my little flower. All right, and if you want, you can add a couple of extras here onto your card, maybe one over towards the right and one down here towards the lower left. All right, and there we have it. We have our diamond flip flap fun fold. What do you guys think? Isn't that pretty? You could even stamp a little, we've got that little flower still inky. Place another little flower here inside your card, right? So pretty. And then while you're at it, go ahead and decorate your envelope too. All right, you could add a little flower to your flap. So pretty. I like to put one right near the, where you write the address as well. All right, so our diamond fold flip flap card. however you like to say it. What do you think? If you enjoyed that, please thumbs up, right? And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe as well. I would much appreciate that, as much as I love your comments too, okay? It all helps. All your interaction with my channel helps. All right, so that is our fun fold, as our fun fold workshop of the month. The next, I usually do 2 fun folds. This next card is not exactly a fun fold, but it does have some fun layered elements. And this is my monochromatic layered card. Okay, so let me just set this one off here towards the side. Okay, so for this card, now, if you received a packet, you'll notice you have a lot of little elements in here. And I didn't just do this to fill your envelope with floral confetti. On my original card, I would have stamped the flowers. So I will show you that as well. However, per Stampin' Up! Policy, I'm not allowed to include stamped images in any of the kits that I send out. So I have used, again, the flower builder punch, so that you have a variety of flower elements, okay, to add some of that fun texture where I would have done a stamped image instead. Okay, so you can see we've got all of our layers here. We've even got some of that beautiful Blackberry Bliss and gold edged ribbon. This one we are working with a traditional half sheet of Blackberry Bliss, 5.5 by 8.5. And so we will fold and score this here at 4 1/4. Okay. Again, I have a 4 by 5 1/4 layer of basic white for the inside. So go ahead and tack that down. Okay, and then we're gonna set our card base aside for now, okay? We're gonna work with the other elements first. Okay, so our next layer is fresh freesia. So we're going with purple monochromatic here, Blackberry Bliss, some fresh freesia. And I have used the Layered Florals 3D embossing folder for this. I love my embossing folders. The Layered Florals one is so pretty. If you can see how deeply etched these flowers are, they're just so pretty here. Okay, so 4 by 5 1/4 for the fresh freesia, and then embossed with the Layered Florals. Okay, but we are going to build our layers on top of this and add some ribbon before we go ahead and adhere this to our card base. Now for this card, I am going to be, let's decide which way we want our flowers to grow here. Okay, and I want this to be a landscape card, all right, just like this one, so left to right. So I've used another pattern from the Regal Regal Winter paper. All right, we got beautiful blues on one side. The back side here is different shades of that Blackberry Bliss. All right, this is a 2-inch, is it 2? Yes, 2-inch by 5 1/4 piece. And so we're going to add a little adhesive, and this is going to go right across the center of our embossed fresh freesia panel. So right down the middle, okay, right across the center. Once we've got that done, we can adhere our ribbon. So I have included 2 different lengths of the Blackberry Bliss and gold ribbon. So we're gonna work with the longest one first. This is going to go across our card. All right, right across the center, and we'll adhere the ends to the back. All right, so go ahead, apply your adhesive all the way around the back here. Okay, and then fold this over. There's no right or wrong side to this, just go with which way your ribbon is kind of bending. Okay, and adhere those ends right to the back. Once you've got that step done, you can go ahead and adhere this to the card front. All right, it's starting to look regal already. I love that pop of gold here on the ribbon. All right, now we have a layer of Blackberry Bliss. So like I said, this is a layered card, lots of different layers. This is 3 1/4. It's a 3 1/4 inch layer and a 3 by 3 piece of the Regal Winter paper. Now this pattern is very similar to this one. However, you'll notice that on the first piece, you have like a really dark evening evergreen, almost black background. And on this pattern, you have a really dark blackberry background. Okay, the backside of this one is the Night of Navy. So they are 2 different prints, even though they are very similar. Okay, so we'll layer these together. 3 by 3 square of Regal Winter onto a 3 1/4 square here of Blackberry Bliss. And I do want to pop this up a little bit, so we'll use some dimensionals on here. And you can go ahead and place one in each corner. You can even do one in the middle for good measure. Love our dimensionals here. Okay, and then decide which way you want your flowers to grow. And we're going to place this at equal distance from the left and the top and the bottom here. So it's kind of positioned off towards the left. Okay, this second piece of ribbon, the shorter piece, is going to slip down in, oops, right down in here. Okay, you can see it peeking out behind. So because we just adhered the ends to the back, the rest of the ribbon is free flowing here. And so you can slip that little piece down in the left, and we're gonna pull that up and just tie a little knot. All right, no fancy bows, just a fun little knot here. Go ahead and pull that tight. You might need to trim the ends just a little bit. Okay, actually that one looks pretty good. I'm gonna leave it for right now. Okay, for our sentiment here, because we do need something on here. Our sentiment, I'm using some basic white, and this is the sentiment panel from the Regal Flora dies. This is the center portion. Okay, I have not used the little outside piece. Okay, so when you die cut it, you end up with 2 pieces, little frame piece and the larger panel. I am just using the larger panel today. And well, let's see, what would we like to use? We could do wishing I were there to give you a hug. How about that? All right, fits nicely on here. And we are going to use the Blackberry Bliss for this. Okay, nice and inky. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay, and then use a little bit of adhesive. I'm actually going to place a dimensional here on this bottom right corner because this panel is already popped up. So I just want to use adhesive, regular adhesive on that, and then use one dimensional to go in that bottom corner just to help make it even, all right, when it goes across. All right, so let's go right down here. I'm gonna pop it up a little bit so my distance from the edge of the Blackberry Bliss to the start of the frame matches the distance here from the right. That way my borders kind of all pretty much match. Okay, and that is pretty just like it is, all right? Now, if you have the Regal Flora stamp set, then I would recommend doing a little stamping. Use the bouquet stamp as well as the single. All right, and stamp these onto some fresh freesia. All right, so a little blackberry bliss. We got a little trio of flowers, and then single stamp here. Just give yourself a little bit of space between those because then you can run them through your cut and emboss, or even use the mini cut and emboss. All right, we've got the dies for these. All right, so if we have our mini, and I've been partial to what I call baby blue here lately. The Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine comes in both white or boho blue. And there's no particular reason, I just have the blue one. That's the one I have out here. So I've got my plates. All right, try to position this so you can see it. I'll put our cardstock on here and place our dies over our stamped images. All right, like I said, if you space it just a little bit, you can fit both on here at the same time. Okay, top plate. Careful not to move those dies, just pinch it really good, okay? Use your hand to kind of pinch it. All right, and get it started. Start cranking. And once you've got it caught, I'm moving my ink pad here. Once you've got that caught, go ahead and grab on with your other hand, okay? So the process is the same whether you're left or right. If you are a lefty, you would just switch it around and grab hold with your right hand and crank with your left, okay? All right, so I have these. Okay, so if I were using the stamped images, I would place dimensionals on these, okay, and place trio up here on the left corner and my single stamp down here on the right corner. Okay, it would look like this. All right, and you could add some of those Regal foil gems to your flower centers. Okay, if you are working with the flower punch pieces, okay, so I'll show you. I'll leave this one here for reference. And so we're gonna do that same thing. You can layer these flowers as much as you want. You could do all 3 layers, or you can just do 2. It's really up to you how much texture and layer you want. So I'm going to, again, I kind of like to poke the center of the little flower, attach these to the large flower with a glue dot. Okay, curl those petals a bit. All right, and then add a dimensional to the back. So there would be a single flower down here at the bottom right, and repeat this process here. All right, I seem kind of partial to the large and the small flowers. So let me do these. There we go. There's our large ones. You should have 4 sets of flowers if I counted correctly. Okay, pinch the small flower, attach to the large, curl the petals, and let me know, what do you prefer? Do you like stamps and coordinating dies, or do you prefer punches? I love them both. I think they each have their purpose. I love with the dies that you can directly die cut a stamped image, but I do love the ease and the versatility of punches, how easy they are. They're portable. You don't need, you don't need any special equipment. You just have your punch, your cardstock, pop and connect. All right, and that's it. I don't know. I'm thinking, like, I don't necessarily think I need extra. I think I'm gonna move this one a little bit here. And what do you guys think? Should I leave it at just a single flower, or should I do a cluster of 3? All right, let's make a couple more here, and then we can position it and kind of see what we like. Do we like having 3? I don't know, I think it's almost a little too much. Okay, leave me a comment, let me know. And I think for me, I'm going to leave it as 1 and 1. Okay, so you let me know what you think. And again, I'm gonna come in with a couple of those Regal foil gems to highlight my flower centers. Okay, because I'm doing monochrome, all right. I am gonna go with the darker gems here. Okay, but you could go with the lighter ones if you want a little bit brighter pop there. But there we have it. So our monochrome layer card. All right, so even though it's not a fun fold, it does have a few extra layers and some fun texture to it. So I hope you enjoyed this project as well. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your orders. I hope you enjoy our Fun Fold workshop each month here and step up some of your card making techniques that maybe you would not have otherwise tried. So again, we had our diamond flip flap Fun Fold, and then our monochromatic layered card here. Both projects featuring Stampin' Up's Regal Winter Designer Series paper, part of the Regal Winter collection. And if you love this paper and this bundle, all right, make sure to get it before it's gone. It is part of Stampin' Up's Last Chance sale. The paper is on sale here for $11.25. The Blackberry Bliss and Gold ribbon is on sale for $9. And then with the stamps and the dies, currently, even though the dies are reduced, you are still better off getting the, oops, where'd it go? The bundle pricing. Here we go, the bundle price. So you can get the stamps and the dies for $46.75. Thankfully, the Regal foil gems and the Regal distressed specialty paper are both continuing, okay? So that is our Regal Winter Suite. Thank you. Again, if you enjoy receiving a packet in the mail for our Fun Fold workshop of the month, just place a $50 order in my online store. Okay, and if your order is $75 or more, you'll also receive a fun embellishment with your packet too. All right, thank you so much. I look forward to stamping with you again soon. Have a great weekend. Stay warm, and and we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.